We'll focus now on FlexiLayout Studio elements. An element describes one or more image objects, such as separators, static texts, barcodes, pictures, etc. An element contains information about the type of the object, its geometrical features, its likely location, and relationships with other objects. The program uses the properties of an element to look for the object it describes and determines a region for the object. So FlexiLayout Studio is a markup tool that's about finding rectangles. Some elements can be classified as simple elements, meaning they do not contain any other elements. And you can convert simple elements into other types of simple elements. Here we can see the list of available elements, and we'll start off by talking about static elements. Static elements are about searching for words, and you can include different search text fragments or full text lines or strings. You can have multiple words that you search for separated by pipe symbols. You can also insert phrase variants separated by curly brackets, and you can hit the ABBYY online help file to read more about phrase variants. You can also take spaces into account, so be sure to include the spaces in your text strings if you do that, and that allows you to permit searches on multiple lines. You can also specify your maximum space length, which is has a default setting of 50 dots, and whether or not the search word is, let's just type in deer, and if we say whole words only, that means that we can't include endearing or dearly. There needs to be a space on either side of the string. There's a line break penalty. You can permit missing words in multi-word phrases and set a missing word penalty. And errors are calculated for the whole search text as for one word. So if you've got multi-word search phrases, the percentage of errors, that is low confidence characters, is calculated on the entire string. If a text string contains more errors than are allowed by this maximum error percentage, then it is considered to be not found. And if you set both maximum number of errors and max error percentage, the system will use the more limiting restriction. Let's talk about separators. So separators are all about locating horizontal or vertical black lines. And if we look at the properties, we've got an orientation property, minimum and maximum length property, a minimum relative length property, and penalty limit for length. Next up, we'll discuss white gap elements. So white gap is about finding what it sounds like it's going to find, an area devoid of ink, of words or logos. And its properties includes orientation. If you set it to horizontal, you specify minimum height. If you set it to vertical, then you set to minimum width. And there's also a number of checkboxes here where you should describe what surrounds the white gap that you're searching for. Is it surrounded by, say, a barcode and a separator? So that will help locate the white gap. In my experience, setting relations is also very helpful in finding a white gap and using a nearest to function. We have noise object coefficients, so we can specify how much noise we allow in our white space for that white space still to be considered a white gap. And so this can be adjusted as needed. Another element available is the barcode element. And the barcode element allows you to look for a variety of barcodes. You can select them all or just select certain barcodes that you're looking for. And there's an orientation selection. Either we're looking for barcodes left to right, bottom to top, right to left, top to bottom, or some combination of those orientations. So this is a very handy feature to be able to select and deselect all of these barcode types. The next element we can discuss is the character string element. And the character string element is about finding single lines of text with unknown contents. So we can look for that text by matching regular expressions, and those regular expressions can contain wildcards. And we can also describe content by alphabets. That's an enumeration of allowed characters. We can also specify character counts and word counts. So if we look at character counts, we could specify a character count of 10, 15, 20, and 30. And then we can look at the fuzzy interval editor. And when we look at the fuzzy interval editor for this particular setting, what we're saying here is that we want non-penalized values in our search area to be characters that are between 15 and 20 characters long, strings that are between 15 and 20. So any words in our search area that were between 15 and 20 characters long would really rank to the top here, a 1.0 value. Whereas if there were no strings that are between 15 and 20, but there is one that's 22 and another one that's 28, different strings that are 22 and 28 characters long, the 22 would fall before the 28. It would have a higher value, and therefore it would be selected. So you can read more about fuzzy interval editor settings in the ABBYY help file.